so I run into these things every once in a while of what to do, like the podcast. Like I've told you before, like, are we doing the right thing of doing this random podcast of us bullshitting, or should it be more specific? Because I had these guys, those movie guys podcasts that I've told you about.
Right.
They sent me some stickers. Like I mentioned them on one of the podcasts. And I was like, hey, man, I mentioned you. Just want to let you know, blah, blah, blah. I told him on Instagram, like, a message. And then he wrote me back and was like, I just caught up on all my podcasts. Thanks for the shout-out. What's your address? I'm going to send you. He does drawings. And so he's like, so he sent me a Joker, Jack Nicholson Joker drawing, and then Freddy Krueger. And so I was like, oh, cool. And then he sent me, like, stickers for the podcast and, like, these 8x10, like, promotional things.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, cool. And I'm like, they're professional. Like, I mean, we're professional. We have mics. We have headphones. But I don't have a sponsor. We just talk.
Right.
You know, I don't make stickers because the $10 that I pay to do this is fine.
Yeah, more than enough.
So I was like, so now there's a show called Alex Incorporated, and I'm sorry all this is relayed from the last show. It's called Alex Incorporated, and it's about a guy trying to start a podcast, and it's a true story of this startup podcast. It was called. It's other things, but the guy left This American Life, and is trying to start his own podcast. And so he talks about how he's trying to do the he does more of a narrative, like news thing with him talking about, and then what happened, and then it cuts to somebody talking that he's recording out in the street.
Gotcha.
So I started thinking, like, man, I need to, like, I want to do something
Get
different.
organized.
Like, yeah, and so then I was like, we either need to organize it more so that you and I aren't just talking off the cuff and
like today.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm gonna dwindle that down somehow. But that's where, like, I never know when to start. I always want to start with a fake thing of like, so why do you like eating poop? And then they go, whoa, wait,
yeah,
what? And then everybody leans in and listens to the rest of the podcast about shift bids and so I said,
no more, none of that ever again.
So I was going through that, and I was like, and it was a thing where, should I change the name? Should I just get rid of forget about the theme song that I have, like just either do another one or whatever. And then I was like, but this works, and this is what I always wanted, and da-da-da. And then I'm talking to Chip. And so I called Chip because
your first mistake.
Not
your first mistake, but
so that was years ago. So Chip says,
she's in the other room yelling at the
dogs.
dogs.
Oh snap! She'll never hear this. So Chip says that him and I sometimes inspire each other, but then it's like you're inspired for a little bit, and then, but also he's different than me. So you and I are the same, where you said, like, my parents did more than I did by the time I was my age. I haven't, and I'm content with that. Like, I like my job, and I'm fine. So Chip was like, I said, I'm trying to figure out the podcast. I said, I'm listening to this, because then I started listening to that guy's podcast, and he was talking about he's starting this whole podcast network, and he needed startup money, and he needed, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he's got, like, a couple different shows. It's called Gimlet is the name of his company. So it was like, so I'm trying to, so I was like, oh, this stuff's going on.
I just need a couple $100,000, and I can buy all this equipment and start streaming on Twitch.
No, but it's the opposite of that, where I'm thinking, like, why does the guy need hundreds of thousands of dollars? Like, get it going, and then, but it's like he had this bigger dream. So then I was like, and not that I'm saying I wanted to do that. I'm just saying maybe I need to just curtailed. Those movie guys podcasts, they only talk about movies. They do it once a week. It's all the topics of movies. Excuse me. So I'm like, well, maybe I need that, and then I'll have more listens if it's a certain thing. But then also, like I said, so Chip said, well, he goes, right now, he said, what I'm doing is I'm focused on, he goes, I'm writing my book. And
his memoirs?
Yeah. No, he's writing it's a mystical, like, tales of legends, like all the legends that you hear about, like whatever, like Hermes and all these things, like they're gonna come in. They come through a gate and they come into the real world, And then these people here, then some of them are heroes, some of them are the people that came through the portal and all this stuff. So he's got this whole thing like that he's gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so I'm gonna write a book, and he goes, so that's what I'm focused on. He goes, what you need to do, I have this thing.
I'm willing to put money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on that he'll do great. You can talk freely because he doesn't listen.
Okay. He'll listen to this one now. Like,
I know.
All that shit that Sean said was all a lie.
Yeah.
No, I'm just very cynical as I get older, and I don't believe that anyone will ever follow through with anything.
Well, this is what got me. So I have this bin back here, which is full of all my writing from my grade school and my high school. I have a thing in here that I'm going to read.
When was the last time that you wrote anything?
I think the No Honor Among Thieves. Yeah, I had to think about it.
It's been a long time.
So, but I do enjoy writing. But
obviously,
I came across. That's now you sound like my wife. I came across a thing in here where I killed Indiana Jones in like a 2-page story that I wrote for 7th grade. And so I was like, what the fuck? Because I'm reading it, and I'm like, this is pretty interesting. And then at the end it goes, and then he died. And I was like, wow, I really fucking threw everybody for a loop. That was my M. Night Shyamalan ding dang. And so Chip's like, you need to get back into writing because you used to love writing, and that's what you love to do. And I'm getting back into it, what he said. And he goes, so you should get into it and, like, work on that. And he goes, and then you could do a podcast about, writing and then he goes, then when you sell your script, he goes, you need to sell your script. He said, you need to be, like, he said, No Honor Among Thieves, which is my hijacking story. He goes, that needs to be your true romance, your Quentin Tarantino true romance moment, and then you would go off and either make your own movie or whatever. And me, like you, is like, no, I know that Hollywood is full of screenwriters.
Now, because Quentin Tarantino was the one who broke through with that. Kevin Smith were the one in a million that made it through, and then everybody, just like, and to go off on that, so I was watching a thing, and they were talking to Alton Brown, that guy from Food Network.
Yeah. Did you watch him on Hot Ones?
Yeah, that's what I was actually talking about. I was on that.
How he
and
said
he was saying, he's like, all of a sudden when Food Network was taken off, everybody wanted to become a celebrity chef.
Yeah.
Because that was their ticket to being famous.
Yeah.
Was to be a celebrity chef. So everybody went for that.
Yeah.
Everybody went for doing, movie stuff. And now that there's YouTube, you have people like Phil DeFranco. You have some of these people that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
That have millions and millions of viewers that that they have immense popularity amongst their crowds.
Even those guys that are on YouTube Red, the Good Morning
Good Morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys, like,
I remember watching them years ago when they were,
thing.
And they still had a ton of people then.
Yeah.
But it was, well before I think they were, as big as they are now, to where they actually have seasons and stuff like that, or maybe they were even bigger. I don't know, but,
But
so
speaking of, I dropped this back down to seasons. Like, at one point, I changed all of our shows into seasons. So we're on the 4th season now for the year of 2018. No. That is funny. So Chip says
we're on the 4th season of 2018, and it's only
so we started in 2015.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
and then 16 was season 2, 17 was season 3, 18 is season 4.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I take time off at the end of the year, and you do too. You're like, I take time off whenever I want, bitch. You're not my boss. So
what are you gonna do? Fire me?
So that's right. So Chip's like, you need to write your script. He said, and I think that that's your direction that you need to go in. The podcast is fine, but do this also. And he goes, and then you sell your script. And he goes, then I write my book and I sell my book. He goes, because my thing is this: I don't want to be 65 years old and have nothing to show for it. He said, I want a legacy. These are his words. I want a legacy when I die.
Children.
That's what my wife said.
You already gave them up.
Exactly. She said, he won't hear that. Even if he listens, what'd that guy say? He's whispering. I can't hear. What'd John say?
Ooh, look at that. Ooh, intellect discipline.
Playing my Assassin's Creed. So I said, and I'd also told him, like, hey, Micah, my brother-in-law's made 350, like, as a little stab, but also more as a, hey, look what Micah's doing. But more, I guess, as a stab, probably passive aggressive. But to him, it just came off as, hey, I wrote it in a good way. Yeah.
Look, this person can do it, so if they can do it, they're an idiot.
I was like, Micah's only been on this long, and he already is affiliated, and he's already like making almost $400 a month. And Chip's like, oh, cool, And then when I'm talking to him, he goes, that thing that you and Sean said, that kind of pretty much was the end of my Twitch. Like, that's when I decided to quit. And I said, well, again, I'm sorry about that, but I said, yeah, I kind of felt like
sorry to me. He was looking for an excuse, and we were an easy out. And even if you don't see it that way, looking from the outside in, that's the way I see it. Otherwise, I would take it as being like, fuck them, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Well, exactly. Well, that's where, like, when I told him all that, and he said, so he goes, it was, doing it 5 days a week, like, it's not even worth the 400, even if you brought in 400. And I said, yeah, but I knew that his thing just with Patreon and with all that was, well, nobody's following me on Patreon. Like, I wanted to hurry up.
It's defeating.
Yeah.
Every day you look at it and not get it. And getting anything.
And like I said, for him playing for 4 or 5 hours and looking and seeing only one person pops up to watch you. Excuse me. So it's like, so he was like, he goes, but when I write my book, he goes, then you and I could do a podcast on writing, and we could talk about what the stories were before when we were writing, like thinking, like we were talking about. Like I was telling him,
that'd be cool. You could tell you could be like, remember in the beginning when you wrote Thicker Than Blood?
Yeah.
When you wrote this, and you could pull up your old writings from like, I wrote this when I was a kid, and go over it and be like, this is where it starts. And you could be a lot of motivation.
But what's funny is Sean almost didn't believe what he just said. He rolled his eyes at the end of that great speech. You're like Patton and then rolling your eyes at the end of the great speech. But my thing is like you, where it's like, I'll fucking read all my shit here. I'll read it for free on this podcast.
Right.
I'll read what I want to write right now. I'll read my script. Like, I'll write it into a play and we'll act it out.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about selling it to Hollywood.
Right.
I'm just happy that I wrote it and I want to do something.
Right.
And so he's like, no, and then we could talk about, all our trials and tribulations, and I'm just thinking, like, he goes,
great. I hope that works out for you.
He goes, because if I don't get a publisher, then I'm going to publish it myself. And I said, well, yeah, because you can do that on Amazon, where you can just, but he's like, so I'm trying to write that, but it's another thing of, he explained to me, like, me and my wife don't understand what his wife, like, she'll just push him to do stuff.
That's awesome. If somebody would do that, I think that'd be great. If you had that, if you had somebody backing you like that.
But and he said she just knows that he's creative and wants him to do something with it. Wants him to do something. And so, but I think when he talks a big game like that, like I was telling her, like, if you're Bruce Lee, you can say, I can do a 1-inch punch, I can knock you over. Like, that's. You're not really bragging. You're telling a fact because that's what you can do. If you become an asshole at it, then, you're an asshole, but you're still, I don't want to fuck with you because that's what you are. But for someone to go, I'm going to leave a legacy, like...
I'm going to write the great American, great American story.
I'm going to be the next J.K. Rowling.
Great. I hope that it works. The likelihood of it happening? Very, very slim to none.
Well, and like,
and if you get if something that somebody who you haven't seen in a decade that says something that is against you on a podcast that doesn't mean anything, if that makes you quit, then what's going to happen when a real critic says something? When when somebody that has some real clout or some real say in that genre in anything, has some sort of critique against you. It's just it's a very difficult thing to do. I guess I just look at it, and like I said, I'm a cynical piece of shit anymore. I don't believe in, I'm dealing like in my new job, like Sandy will be like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this. I'm like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Well,
meaning like job stuff that she wants to
it's
do?
like she says that she's like, I come in at this time, but nobody sees it. They just see that I leave at 4:00.
Right.
And she's like, so I do this. I'm like, nobody cares because yes,
things are getting done.
All they're going to see is that you leave at 4.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you've already been here for 23 hours before then.
Yeah.
If they don't come in until 9:00 and you leave at 4, they just think you're leaving early.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people are too wrapped up and too selfish in their own lives to really give two shits about what is going on in somebody else's. Like you're lucky to have somebody else think about you for 5 minutes a day.
Well,
and it's just like, and if it's in a company that you're working for somebody, they want to make sure the job is getting done.
Yeah.
And if it's not getting done, then then it comes to that. But it's just
and sometimes you think like you get into your own self. Like with my job, like I sit there and I go, I got all these ideas. I'm going to do this, and Danielle goes, Don't focus too much on that because things aren't going to change. Like you can't reinvent that whole wheel. Like all you can do is make little changes. And so now that I've been
you've
back,
been doing that job for years.
Yeah.
You left and you came back.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed since you were gone.
Yeah. And so it's like, but now they respect me a little more, so I can do those changes, and they agree with it. But it's like I can't go in there and go, here's the 5 changes we're making. No. Because for one, if nobody else follows up on it, because they don't care, they just want to make sure, am I getting paid by the client?
They're making money.
Yeah.
They're making their money, and they have to do very little to do it. And they're not looking at increasing their numbers.
Yeah.
And making it more efficient, that kind of stuff has to come from the top down.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I said, I'm sorry. I'm just
no. That's but that's where I came from. Was after talking to Chip, and Danielle's like, "Why do you even call him?" And I said, "Well, because I said he's the only one up in the middle of the night." I said I was going through this podcast stuff. Sometimes you just need to say it out loud to hear it. Yeah. And I said, so my thing was, should I drop back to that other format that I sent you of like how Sergio and I used to do it? We do emails, we do observations. But like what I ran into with Joe, now that you've been doing it more, you're a little better with it. But with Joe, when he was on, I was like, so what have you been watching? Nothing. What have you been doing? Any observation? No.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was like, well, I watched Lost in Space. And then I started talking about all this stuff. So it's like...
So and that's if we had a topic to go off of and that kind of stuff, then I'd be but it's I don't know to find something for us to both.
Well, and that's where like you and I had this great show once where we just jumped from topic to topic, and it was all the stuff that we liked, and it just weaved into each other like so well. But for you and I, we like so much different stuff. Like, did you watch Hot Ones? Yeah, I watched everybody YouTube Hot Ones. Check it out.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah,
should be. But you contact us. It's kind of a funny podcast at gmail.com.
Did you watch the Phil DeFranco where he interviewed him?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yep. They've gotten some really big stars on there recently. Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Sorry, part of me doesn't believe that they're eating the hot sauce.
Oh yeah,
because some of that I have some of that hot sauce.
Yeah,
and if it was a whole wing covered in it, that shit's fucking hot.
Yeah,
and I can't believe that Charlize Theron is doing something that hot, but whatever.
Well, and wasn't it Aisha Tyler was on there? Yeah. What was funny was they did on there when Alton Brown and Rachel Ray were on, like they're critiquing like, oh, there's cardamom. I taste. But everybody else is like, oh, that's got a little kick. But they're like, oh, yeah, that's good. And ginger. Good, and they're taking another bite. Oh,
Alton Brown's like, this is my favorite one. This is this one. This one's just heat, and this one's garbage. That was the Da Bomb. I had that Da Bomb at American Express, and I left it there because I'm like, it just tasted like garbage. It didn't.
Yeah, it was just hot to be hot.
Yeah. But what else? There was something I was going to tell you. Oh, have you seen all this stuff about Solo?
No, like what? I mean, I know there's a movie coming out.
Kathleen Kennedy and the social justice warrior, destroying of Star Wars, and like there's all these people calling for a boycott of Solo to not go see Solo because of all the horrible, everyone is just up in arms against Kathleen Kennedy, and even they're saying like Mark Hamill now is, like starting to speak his mind and be like, no, they fucking ruined Star Wars. They ruined my character.
Yeah.
They did this. They just played some interview where he was on stage with the guy Ryan, whoever did the one.
Oh, yeah,
and
Ryan Murphy.
Somebody asked, they were like, okay, Mark, if you were the director and the writer, what would you have done? And the Ryan guy goes, yeah, fuckface, how would you have done it? Or yeah, fucker, or something like that. Called him a motherfucker. He's like, yeah, motherfucker, how would you do it?
Yeah.
And, was straight out, wasn't like kidding, blah, blah. And it's just like, and then, they're saying like all this backlash with Kathleen Kennedy, and like one of the robots in Solo, like their description is that it's a female robot who is very in tune with the rights of droids. And they're like, what? They're like, it's a droid. It's not like it's has its own this and that. It's a droid, and they're like, where did it ever become that it was that there had to be male and female droids? It was just a droid. That was part of it, but this is a female droid who is very in tune with the rights of droids.
Social justice.
It's all social justice.
Wow.
And Kathleen Kennedy has been said that we don't need men in the Star Wars movies or something like that. But if you get a chance, there's all this stuff against like the Star Wars.
And sometimes like there was something that happened recently on. Sometimes a lot of that I think is for PR. Like they want you to go, oh, nobody wants me to see it, I'm going to go see it. But like we just had.
I don't know that any PR would want you to. That would.
Well, no,
tell you to boycott a movie.
But no, almost reverse psychology. Like, oh, you need to see. Like, this is outrageous. Oh, I'm going to go see.
Right?
What
Yeah,
they
like
talk
that.
about.
But I don't think if they're like, this is going to be terrible because there's too many facts backing it up. They've changed directors how many times? One of the actors that was supposed to be in the movie couldn't make it for his reshoots, so they completely gutted his character. But he was in the entire movie up until they needed to do reshoots because they had to bring in a new director.
Yeah.
And
but then like
that movie's going to be trash.
All these other movies always have reshoots, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm questionable about it. But the thing is with we had a thing recently, so we watched the Lethal Weapon TV show, and there's this guy Clayne Crawford who plays Martin Riggs on there. And at first, when the Lethal Weapon TV show came out, me and Joe were like, fuck that, like no way, like this is ridiculous. There's only one, it's Mel Gibson,
right?
Danny Glover. And so all of a sudden we watch it, and I was like, this is really good. Like it reminded me of Fastlane, but modern, and the way it was filmed. And so then Joe was like, I was done at the second episode where Riggs tackled that person on the roof, and they went all the way down, went through the fifth floor window of the apartment next door or across the street. And so I was like, yeah, but I still stayed tuned. And that character built and had this whole arc because you had a whole season to work with his crazy insanity, and he lost his wife. And they really worked with that. And it was really good where it'd get me choked up or teary-eyed at the end of every episode. So Clayne Crawford's like really good. All of a sudden, they're into the second season. He's directing an episode, and something happened where he got mad at an assistant director because somebody got hurt doing a stunt or doing something. So he yells at him, and then they said, oh, his temper got so bad. And so then he goes, okay, so he apologized on Twitter and everything. Like, I'm so sorry. It was not right for me. I should have dealt with it in a different way. Then all of a sudden so it's the day of the season finale, and they put out a thing, Clayne Crawford fired from Fox and they're going into a third season. So now you're firing him. And then you watch the episode, and it was him like, I'm going back to Texas, and, and it's a cliffhanger. Is he leaving for Texas? And Murtaugh's now by himself, going to be captain. So I was like, her and I were like, is that a PR stunt? Like they wanted everybody to tune in to the finale, and they want everybody to be like, no, keep Clayne. And then they're going to really turn around and go, it's fine, know. But then everybody, like I checked his Twitter, and everybody on his Twitter was like, no, like I even wrote on my Facebook, like if they get rid of him, like he's the best part of the show, like then I'm out. And everybody, no, you're the best. Like, what are you doing? So it's one of those where it's like, is that a PR stunt? Like, or did they really fire the guy? Or,
Well, it's like another thing I was going to. Oh, have you seen the preview for Predator?
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a hot bag of trash.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. They already said that this was supposed to have already been out.
Yeah.
That they're not showing the previews. Previously they had to go and do a whole bunch of reshoots on it.
Yeah.
Like the story of it, like Shane Black was saying, oh, this is like a reimagination and all this stuff. But there's like 5 different types of predators.
Yeah.
They bring an autistic kid in that is going to be able to translate the predator language.
Oh. Yeah.
The stars that are in it, or the people that are in it, are not Hollywood blockbuster action people.
Yeah,
like the one video I was watching, they're like, what was it about Predator that hooked you, that made you just love it? I'm like, it was fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger and fucking
Creed.
Apollo.
Yeah.
Locking arms and their fucking biceps are all shiny. And I was like, I was a teenager, or however old I was at the time when that came out, a preteen or a teen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted. Fucking blood, guts, fucking, muscular dudes, fucking guns.
And just the way all that worked, it was also their dynamic of Jesse Ventura. Like, they all seemed like they actually were a team.
Right.
Like, it wasn't this fake acting.
Like they said, all it was like, here's the story. You guys, there's a Spec Ops team missing. Yeah. We're sending in another Spec Ops teams to go find them.
Yeah.
Alien, fight your way out and survive.
Yeah.
That's it. This one is like, okay, this autistic kid is doing this, and he's flying the ship, and he's understanding the language, and then there's this type of predator that's hunting other predators, and then there's these types of predators that are evolving, and then these types of predators that are helping the humans, and then there's this scientist, Julia Munn, or that Munn girl, Olivia Munn. But at the same time, she's a fucking badass and can shoot a gun, but she's like a doctor, scientist thing, but she's a fucking badass with a gun.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it doesn't, they're making it so complicated, whereas the first one was just guns, aliens, and fucking the jungle. And we'd throw in boobs if we could. But
that was the problem that they messed with before, and I think they've always been trying to recreate that, and they just can't. There's no way, unless you did like a direct sequel or a sequel now where you came to Arnold Schwarzenegger like now, and he's just like, I saw some shit once, and it was, there are aliens out there, whatever. Then all of a sudden, after you get him to talk after years, then all of a sudden they're like, they get a new team, and it's like Heartbreak Ridge, and you have him train a new team, and they, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the best part of that, like I said, the best part of Predator that I love is when he's waiting there, he's all muddied up, and he's waiting under that big trap. And the Predator starts to go under there, and you're like, just like you and I watching Tomb Raider, like, oh, we know what's going to happen. But this was, you were like, he's going to get, and he stops, and he feels the thing, and then he goes over top of it. And Arnold's like, oh, shit. You
didn't fall for my obvious trap.
Yeah, it was like so great. But I do like Shane Black, who wrote, who was in Predator.
Was in Predator.
And then he wrote and directed this one. So I'm hoping. But, yeah, when that kid got that package, it's like, okay, is this going to be a...
Well, and I read about it because somebody wrote a thing about it because they played that trailer at South by Southwest like a couple weeks ago, so people wrote up what was in it and stuff like that, and I had read about that, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then when I was watching this video, this guy break it down, it's just like, yeah, well, if that's the case, they're making this into
they're
way
putting
more
too
of
much.
a complicated
because I thought if Shane Black's doing it, that he was going to go back to like,
just
that's what they tried to do.
That's
what they tried to do with Predators. Was they put it on a planet, on a jungle planet, but it just had too much with the old guy, with Lawrence Fishburne, who'd been there forever.
And then the multiple different types of predators. No, this isn't that. Well, at that time, that was the 4th movie in the thing, or the 5th movie in the Predator series, but you don't need to get into adapting, bringing in other species of the alien. Just fucking have the badass alien.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know, whatever.
No, it's annoying. But back to the podcast thing.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So then I started thinking, well, I need to just go back to maybe that same format. But what you and I always had a problem with the format of like email observations. What I would have is Sergio and I would like either make mental notes or take notes while we're out. So then I was like, oh, this guy at work like said this shit or, you know, whatever. And he would be like, oh, yeah, I almost got in a fight at the QT or, you know, whatever. And so it was like observations like that so I even told Joe, I sent Joe the same thing that I sent you. And I was like, you know, you guys are part of this podcast. Like, I know that you're like, oh, it's Philip's podcast. I'll be on it. I'm there to answer his questions or, oh, you saw that movie? Interesting. And I go, yeah, but I want you guys more to be like involved, you know. But speaking of that, I wrote down some observations. Okay. And we were talking about like how we were going to have topics in JFK assassination and 9/11, which I haven't watched any 9/11. I know about some 9/11 conspiracies. Okay, there was insurance paid for, you know, they wanted the insurance money. Then there's that the planes weren't even passenger planes, they were cargo planes, and if you look real close, it was just empty planes that flew in, you know. So I'm talking to this lady the other day, and she mentioned to me, we began to talk about ISIS, and she said that 9/11...
Great conversation for a...
well, because she's German, and she's from Germany, and we were, like, getting into, like, her life. Like, we were talking about, like, things that I didn't know about her, and she was like, oh, yeah, I used to work in L.A., and saw George Clooney all the time, all these celebrities coming into this fitness center that I worked at, and they're real nice people. And I said, okay. She said, but people were like, oh, my God, you know them? And she was like, they're just people, like, whatever. So somehow we got onto ISIS. I think I was talking about my guy Khalaf from Iraq, how ISIS was taken over, and he left. And then he was like, my dad and sisters are still there. And I was like, well, they need to leave. And he's like, my dad's like, this is my house. I'm not leaving. And I was like, yeah, but he's going to get, like, your mom or whoever, your sisters are going to get raped, you know, because what they do is go, are you with us with your religion? And then you go, no. And then they go, we're going to kill you. Or if you go, they go, you are going to be, okay. Then they still rape you and they still kill you after, you know. So he's like, no. So finally his dad left and went to Turkey, and his sister, everybody. Anyway, so talking about him. And we're talking about ISIS. And she said that 9/11 was caused by the government to get the U.S. into the war and grab the oil. And she said that her husband, who was in the military at the time, told her some secrets that he knew about it. Also at the time, she worked at United, and that was United, whatever, was the one that crashed into the field. And she said that there were no people on those planes. I was like, okay. I go, yeah, I've heard that. But I didn't go, like, in a way I wanted to pull it from her so I'd have a podcast story. But in a way I was just like, it's where you talk to somebody and you think, like, they're a sane person. And then all of a sudden you hear something like that and you go, oh, okay then. All right. We're
done
we're
here.
At this. Yeah, we're at this.
Check, please.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Check, please.
So I said, so it was that where what's funny is she talks about how her husband was in the military and knew all this stuff. But then when I was like, why did you guys, you know, what's your husband doing now? She's like, oh, he went crazy. We got divorced. Like, the war messed him up. And it was like, yeah, do you not think that he was messed up and he's telling you, like, 9/11's a conspiracy? And,
he's working at Circle K.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh. But,
yeah, but there's, you know, those conspiracy things. What's that guy who does the conspiracy show?
Alex Jones.
Yeah, sorry. But I don't know.
Well,
I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that goes on that we, you know, that they're not going to tell us the truth about it.
Yeah.
It's all based on money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's just
money and pussy.
Is that what it's based on? There's the name of our podcast, Money and Pussy.
I think there's more guys get into trouble and do stupid things over money or women.
Yeah.
Or more wars are fought for money, religion, and women, you know, than
I just thought of more of our title. 9/11 was caused by money and pussy.
What was the thing from the last podcast? The fucking kamikaze pussy?
Oh yeah, the diet pussy.
Diet pussy.
Yeah.
This whole podcast is about the fucking pussy control.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be our new theme song.
Yeah, Pussy Control. Is there a song called Pussy Control?
Yeah, by Prince.
Oh,
no,
Prince.
Prince.
Oh, Pussy Control.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to check with his people.
You're gonna have to put that in the podcast.
Well, I told you how we got.
We got a copyright infringement in fucking Australia.
Yeah, for playing.
We fucking care.
3 is a magic number at the end of the Ready Player One.
Whatever.
But yeah,
everything in your fucking country kills you.
Yeah.
Oh God! And then Sandy was just telling me about that some friend of hers on Facebook or something like that. Apparently there was just a shooting in Australia, and shooting, all guns are illegal and been banned in Australia.
Yeah.
And the shooting happened. It was like 7 people got shot and killed, and this was the largest shooting in Australia's history since
70,
since the guns got banned or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently this person put on there like, see, all your gun laws and everything still don't protect you, Australia, ha-ha. And I'm like, you're fucking ha-haing people for getting killed.
Yeah.
And it was 7 people.
Yeah.
7 people in this country doesn't even get fucking reported.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to hit 20 or 30 to fucking make headlines anymore.
Yeah.
And, but it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, what is fucking wrong with people?
Well, and that's, that's where, like I'm annoyed. Like, I heard you when we went shooting, you were like, yeah, I stopped Facebook. And it's like, I only get on Facebook to, like, promote the show and maybe check in if I'm seeing a movie or something. I check in on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, now I've been using Instagram, and then I annoy my wife because I'm like, honey, look at this. Look at Deborah Messing's doing blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't give a shit about Will and Grace. Like, why are you showing me? And I'm like, but it's fun. Like, she's hanging out with the girl from SVU. And she's like, whatever. And then I'm like, look, on Ellen, they had a puppy. And she's like, whatever. So I pretty much only use Instagram, and I don't really read Twitter and all that stuff. But yeah, it's all this social media stuff that's just... I mean, it's even the time suck that it is. Like, I'll sit there and I'm scrolling through YouTube. iTunes, Instagram, if I haven't looked for it for a while, then all of a sudden I'm going to where I left off.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling through and I'm following people who followed me, so I follow them back to be nice.
Yeah.
But they're people that I don't really care about, like fashion or whatever. So I'm just scrolling through, and then I'm like, oh, look at J-Lo's new dress.
Instagram now, where Instagram doesn't do it chronologically. They do it.
Yeah, I noticed.
Where they don't post all the stuff, and they only do certain ones that you put up.
Well,
so
and
if you're wanting to.
It's even like with Facebook, where you have your own feed that would be whatever you look at most, so it pops up there. But other people that you may have, that are your friends, but they won't be there because you don't look at their stuff or like their stuff very much. So it's just, you got to go look for it.
Well, and that's the thing. It brings it down to money.
Yeah.
You know, how can we advertise this person?
Yeah.
Because they want to make money, and
But it's like, did you see on Instagram I put the thing of, because we were going to do the Golden Child, and I put that, and I put you as her and me as him.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I did see that. That was huge. That's funny.
I was gonna put like we're looking for the Golden Child.
Once you put that out that we were gonna do that today, I was like, I want the knife. Like, oh, my brother Nimpsey has forgiven me, and I was like coming up with all these lines that I haven't thought of in it. So
well, me too. I was
just like, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fucking great. I haven't seen this movie in so long, so you definitely have to do it.
No, and I was reading all the trivia about it, and like that little kid, the Golden Child, is a girl. Yeah.
Nice.
She's a little girl.
Okay, sweet. Watch the Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy just got inducted into some comedy thing or got some award, and he went on this whole thing about Bill Cosby.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And some of the stuff you say that it pans around to the audience, and the people in the audience are just like, oh, okay.
Well, especially since on his delirious comedy special that he did, he talked about how Bill Cosby called him and was like, hey, man, your thing is kind of dirty. You can clean it up. And then a friend of his was like, tell him to have a he said, then I talked to Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor said, tell him to have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
You jelly pudding eating motherfucker.
Yeah. So,
but he was doing the Bill Cosby voice and stuff. And he's like, and I put the pill in the drink and a or whatever. Yeah. It was pretty funny, and I think some of the people were like, "Whoa, shit! I can't believe you're saying that."
Well, and that's Cosby. Like Kevin Hart he was on that Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and he was talking to Jerry Seinfeld, and he was like, "I hang out with Eddie Murphy." He goes, "He's still a funny fucker." Like he said, we'll sit in his house, and we're just running things, like just talking, and he goes, "He's funny as hell," but I tell him like, take it out, like take it on the road, but he's like, "No, I got my money. I don't need, you know." Because I don't need that. On part of the trivia I read, they said he owns like a couple. Like they talk about going to the Bahamas. Oh yeah, he's like, "Why am I in the winter here? Why am I freezing to death? Why am I not?" When you said that this is my destiny, why is my destiny not to be in the Bahamas or whatever? And he said that they said, well, he owns like several islands in the Bahamas because he's got all kinds.
He invested his money properly, or whatever. And
but yeah, we'll definitely do the Golden Child.
The Golden Child. What else was I gonna? Oh God, I'm sure you probably already know about this, but I'm excited for it. And I know it's probably a couple years away, but the fucking Manson family movie.
Oh yeah,
with fucking Tarantino.
That Tarantino's doing,
and fucking Burt Reynolds.
Oh, Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Oh,
Burt Reynolds is gonna play.
Play the guy that owns the Spawn Ranch.
Farm. Yeah.
Awesome. And then also that'll be cool too for Quentin to.
And like they said, they're like, when Quentin does this, like whoever he does it, the kung fu guy,
Jackie Chan.
No, that killed himself, Carradine.
Oh yeah.
Or that, and John Travolta.
Yeah. All his people that he liked. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just blows him up. Wonder if it would do the same thing to fucking, to.
Well, and that's like watching Hooper again. Watching Hooper that you and I talked about. So I bought Sean and I, after we talked, I bought us Golden Child, Hooper, and Real Genius. And so all of a sudden, Real Genius was like $6, and then these were like $2.50, the other ones. But watching that, he's got that laugh that he goes, like that little, and just the whole thing, like. But then I remember when he dropped away, and then when he came back, he was real skinny, and he looked like he had AIDS or cancer or something. And then he was in Boogie Nights, which you and I loved him in that. Like,
apparently he hated that movie.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. He did no press on it whatsoever. Yeah. Wow. If you go back, he did no press, and he won't talk about it at all. Like he hated the movie. He hated being in the movie. He didn't want anything to do with it. And but I forget why, but he feels like he was forced into doing it.
Yeah, he was really good.
I thought he was really good too, yeah.
What I did hear that Quentin was like, we're going to release it on the date of the murders, like an anniversary. And everybody was like Tate's family is like, what the fuck? Like, they're all pissed. And so it's like, but it's going to be, and then what? Did he get Leonardo to do Manson?
I don't know that it's been announced.
But yeah, that'll just be. Oh, so great. I wish I could find that picture of Manson on the horse that they talked about on the last podcast on the left. It's like just so cute. Like,
well, and I didn't realize, I didn't look into it, but like one of Manson's people that claimed to be his kid got ownership of the body and was able to get him buried and stuff like that. But then they mentioned on last podcast that whoever that girl was trying to get it, and I don't know if they were being serious, but it sounded like she wanted to take the body on a tour and have it brought around all over the place so people can fucking come up and see the body.
They used to do that back in the day. Remember, like Dillinger or whoever, they would drive around and be like, "Come and see Lincoln," or "Come and see whoever," and then you would go. And
the kid said that Manson just wanted to fucking be buried and just.
I think they said, didn't they say Stalin is still like he's
still preserved?
He's preserved and in a glass thing, and you can walk up there and look at him, and it's like, holy shit, like. But it's crazy. But what? So yeah, the thing about Chip, that was interesting because it's just like my thing for that.
Yeah,
sorry
I'll
to
give
go
it
back
more
on
thought,
because
maybe we can. Because if we can get a specific subject, but it's like it's so hard because there's so many people who talk about things now.
Right. Well,
and it's like we can't talk about. You don't play video games,
right?
So we can't talk about video games.
I did play Uncharted the other day. I still can't get past that fucking train. God damn it! I was shooting the guy. I had
God of War, Dad of War, the new one.
Oh,
fucking amazing!
Yeah,
seriously one of the best fucking video games that I have played in however long. Like, even for a while, like, I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm sick of, like, doing a certain part where you can get grindy and build better gear and stuff like that. Not necessary for the story whatsoever.
Yeah, get grindy. That sounds sexy. Like
it's a
stripper
game thing, yeah. But, you know, and then, like, okay, I'm done playing for a while. And then the next day I'd fucking pick it back up. And it'd be one of those where I'd be thinking about it. And the story was just awesome.
Well, yeah, on those Movie Guys podcasts, they were talking about how, like, he said there's little things that Kratos does that the kid, like, trying to train the kid, like, he wants a kid to be tough but not be tough. So he goes, there's this balance that he'll, like, give this smirk or give something when the kid, you know, whatever, and he goes,
and the kid's like, being a smartass to him, and he just fucking blows it off.
Yeah, and he goes, it's so great. And then I noticed when I was on PlayStation, I'm looking like you and Joe were, like, pretty close. Like, oh, you were at the lake, and then Joe was at the lake, and then, you know, and I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, fucking great game. And then even at the job, there's one of the guys that works in the warehouse, and he's like, goes, "What's up, Kratos?" He calls me Kratos instead. He's like, "Kratos, what's that?" I'm like, "It's the
finally.
guy." He's like the guy from the game, and she's like, "Huh?" And he pulls it up on his phone, and she's like, "Oh, that does look like you."
You should have ran in the bathroom, put a red thing on it. Yeah.
Like, I have to lose 40, 60 pounds or, you know, get into really muscular shape.
But no, and with us, it's always difficult because it's like, oh, we like when we did MK Ultra, we were like, we'll do MK Ultra and JFK assassination.
And then we don't.
And then we did.
At least I don't do the background on it. I don't do the work when it comes to it, and that's just me being lazy.
Right. But then there's me. Like, I have a whole bunch of notes back here on JFK, but then also it's like where to go with it, like where to, you know, it's like what you and I like about last podcast on Left, like Marcus has everything, has a scripted thing that he sends to Henry. They read it,
and then Ben Kissel just comes in.
And Ben Kissel's the one who's listening from out of the blue, like, doesn't know what's going on, and that's why, I was telling, like, for you, where I said, well, if you did MK Ultra, like, you did more of the research on that, and I did some, and then if I was like, here's what happened with JFK, and then I'm like, imagine that, you know, and I tell you everything that you don't know, and kind of for the people who don't know, and then it's like, okay, but then my things got so detailed that I followed fucking Lee Harvey Oswald from after lunch.
Oh my God!
From when he left, like, he gets on the bus at 12:01. He get, you know, like, all this stuff. But what was interesting about it was, it makes you wonder, like, did he, you know, like I said, did he or didn't he?
Like they were talking about on last podcast, where they're like, you know, we're not history, blah blah blah. If you want to know history, like the Rasputin one, to go listen to Dan Carlin, fucking hardcore history. And I'm just like, fucking love that show.
Well, and that's
awesome.
like, Joe even asked me when I was telling him about JFK thing, and he's like, has the last podcast done JFK? And I said, no. I go, not that I know of. And he goes, they should. And I was like, well, yeah. So that's why, like, well, yeah, we should jump on. But then also I'm like, should we wait till November 22nd and then do it for, you know, the anniversary or whatever? But yeah, so it's that. But then it's also like you and I like so much different things that for us to kind of pick a topic is hard for, you know.
Right.
You know, it's just difficult. And then same thing with Joe, like, you know, and that was what else Chip said. Chip goes, you bring up the past. He said, you need to, like, start watching new stuff, doing new things. And I was like, yeah, but that's my childhood. Like, my parents got a divorce when I was...
We should get, like, top news stories.
Yeah.
And just, you know, these are the top news stories of this month. We're going to go down these news stories and talk about, you know, in entertainment or you know, in science. You know, what do you think about this? And I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, okay, that one sucks. Let's go on.
Yeah. Well, and that's what... so jumping over to that, now Micah, my brother-in-law, called me yesterday. I told Sean part about this, but now you got to listen again because the audience hasn't. He said, hey, I want to talk to you about your show. I said, okay. And so he calls me, and he goes, on Twitch they have talk shows, and you and I could do a video podcast. And he said, you could do it with others too, but I could come on. And he said, and then I'll hook it up so, you know, you buy a camera, like $50. He said, and then you and I will be on there, and it records, and it goes to YouTube, you know, and it's on Twitch. And he said, and then when people listen, you know, you get a penny for every little badge. And he said, but it all adds up. And he goes, next thing you know, you're like me making whatever, but he's got subscribers. But he's like, then you got that. And I was like, well, how much does it cost? He goes, well, nothing. And he goes, well, it costs like 15, but they take that out of, whatever you make. So you're kind of just giving them whatever you make. So, the 15. So I was like, okay. And then I go, well, how much percentage do you want? Because it's his idea. And he goes, 50. And I said, okay. Because with this, like I said, you're part of it. You and Joe are part of it. So you tell me, like, hey, I don't like talking about this. Take that out of what I said about Joe or Sandy or whatever, or just, hey, tomorrow I want to talk about this.
I just on that, I've never asked to have anything about Sandy taken out of the show.
I know. That's right. Sandy won't listen.
She's asked before, like, what's the name of that show? I'm like, you don't want to fucking listen to that.
Well, it's like my dad one time. He was like, now how do I?
What
listen?
Is that like a radio show?
And I was thinking like, oh, if he listened and then he heard us going checking in with the fathers,
know best.
So he goes, so he's like, we could do that. So like I said, my thing was like 50% and nothing right now is nothing. And even if we did make some money, then 50% of that, like, and it's
if you
free,
made enough
whatever.
to pay for the thing,
to pay for this $10.
But don't even that's like Chip.
Yeah, don't even.
Chip is already has already spent that money.
Yeah.
He's already upgraded his service.
Yeah.
Hoping, knowing that money's coming in. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, and that's where I told him, I was like, so then Micah was like, how about, he goes, you should do a podcast and he goes, do you have a name that you go by? And I said, well, I'm just Philip, it's Philip Sean. Hey, how you doing? And I go on the other one, it was Dysfunctional One is when I put it up, and I said, but it's just Duke. He goes, well, you should be called Duke. And his name on Twitch is Luzrin, Luzrin. So he's like, why don't we do Duke? He goes, let's just do 2 letters. And I go like DL or MP.
Keeping it on the DL.
And he's like, yeah, DL. He goes, Duke Luzrin. And so there's the D has like a crown, and then the L has like his little his little logo. And so it's like, okay, so he's working on that. So he's like, well, we'll run some things, we'll test it. And it's like, okay. And he's like, I'm thinking of he does this thing, I'll show you when we're done. But he'll record things for when he goes to take an intermission from his game. And it's him like reading fan mail. Like, hey, Sean Hansen says, oh, why don't you adopt a child? You seem like you'd be really good with kids.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because I hate fucking children. And so you can burn in hell. And the next person says, hey, why don't you play this? Where'd your name come from? All this stuff. And and then he does like a newscast where he'll have like a fake background, like a news. And then he's like, today in Luzrin News, a woman, da-da-da, and he'll tell some things. And the other day he had like an interview with a basketball player, but it was him like looking one way. And then it was him with like in a basketball jersey, like being like, yo, man, like, I don't know. And I grew up in the streets, and then it cut to him in a bald cap with like swastikas all over him, and in an alley, and it was just shit. And I go, and that's what I had told Chip, like, you're crazy, like you're wacky like that. Like if you did shit like that, people then tune in and go, this guy's funny. So Mike is like, he goes, maybe I'd even do the podcast of like, in that voice of the announcer. And I was like, and then he goes, what do you do on your podcast? And I said, well, and I sent him the thing. Here's what I have for the topics or the list of how we do it. And I said, but we could do whatever. I said, sometimes I have weird news that I haven't done for a while, but I read the news that I don't tell them what it is. And then we just are like, what the fuck? And he's like, he goes, yeah, he said, I read like weird, like he read one about they had a candlelight vigil for a Taco Bell that burned down somewhere. And he said, so I was like, he said, so I had a picture of like that blue drink, whatever you get over there. And he's like, so I had that. And then I was like, I had a character that I was talking in, and it was like, here's what's in the news. And he goes, so I'll play the game, but also do like stuff like that. Or whatever. And he's like, so I have like my talking points, but I just kind of riff on it. And I was like, okay. So anyway, he was like, so that'll be coming sometime to Twitch. Cool. But my thing with this is like, yeah, if you have any ideas or you want to do the JFK or, or just, hey, how about this? And that's why with you, I know that with Joe, I can't go, Joe, did you see Hot Ones? And Joe will go, what's that? And I'll go, YouTube. And Joe will go, I don't watch YouTube. Do you watch John Lovell or you watch any of these, military guys with shooting. No, I don't. I have no idea.
But you can talk to him about TV shows, whereas you would tell me, and I'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, and that's what I was saying. So Chip was like, Chip goes, you talk about all these old shows, and I said, but that was like my childhood. Like my parents got divorced when I was 16, and I think like I like those old shows for one because they're nostalgic, but for two because that's where I was happy, like watching Family Ties or watching whatever Airwolf or whatever.
Joni Loves Chachi.
And so, no, not that one. But Charles in Charge. So then
Nicole Eggert.
So Chip, yeah. Like I said, I go, Chip, should do a Charles in Charge? Like I'm always pushing people. Like, how about a Charles in Charge podcast? Like we watch every episode. And Chip
I would probably do that. Yeah, I fucking watch that show all the goddamn time.
And Chip goes because then the thing came out about Scott Baio. Fingered Nicole Eggert, and Chip goes, all it would be is at the end of the show, whenever somebody came on the screen, we would go, do you think he fingered her? Think he fingered that guy? Yeah. And I go, yeah. I go, see, it's funny. He goes, yeah, but after the 4th episode, he's going to say, did he finger that guy? So I go, that's why, like I said, I did a search once, like podcasts, like, because there's that MacGyver podcast, Mullets and Memories. Great name. And they go through every episode. And so they're on like episode 123 or 125. And they're like, this show, like this is the last season and it's getting wacky, And so I said, I look up like Airwolf. Is there an Airwolf podcast? No. So we could do like Airwolf is so cheesy.
Oh my God.
I looked up Charles in Charge. No Charles in Charge. I said, I looked up Golden Girls. There's several Golden Girls, podcasts, but nothing recent.
Let's do a Charles in Charge
one. I go, then there was one of, then I looked up Quantum Leap because I was like, all of Quantum Leap is on Hulu. We can watch it for free, all 9 seasons or whatever. And because Charles in Charge, I think, only has 1 season. But I'm like, oh, that would be so good. And then I looked up, and there's like several Quantum Leap podcasts, but some are old, but still it's like, but it's stuff like that where you go, oh my God, that would be, kind of like I said, when you and I did the Chopping Mall commentary, I was like, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go, like, because we haven't seen the movie. And then I re-listened to half of it one day, and I was like, that was like, you were like, I love the fucking 80s, look at that hair. And then we were like, you were like, do models just, like, you just call a number, and a model's there to, like, be like, here's your robots. And we were like, yeah. And then you were like, I know those fucking people, where are they from? And I'm like, Eating Raoul. And you're like, yeah, but that guy. And then I was like, is this you and me and Joe? And you were like, no, I'm not that guy. Like, I'm this guy. And I go, no, but Joe's this guy, and we were, like, talking all about that. So that's why I think Golden Child would be fun because we haven't seen it. Because, like, I watched Hooper, and Hooper's just good for nostalgia to watch it. And I thought he went twice under that smokestack. He only went once.
Oh, okay.
Like, I thought I remembered them going under it and turning around and coming back.
Yeah.
But they had to make that bridge, and they were in that rocket car. So good. It was good. I found it fun. And it had James Brosco P. Coltrane was in it. And Sally Field with no bra. That's like you were saying about him jumping over the fence and fucking her. Yeah, that's when she was like, if you could at least throw the beer by the can or closer, and he throws it and he misses, and she's like, close enough, and then carries her off to bed. But yeah. So Charles in Charge, definitely we'll have to do that. The JFK one.
And then we'll just do Charles in Charge and then 80s movies.
Yeah.
Chud. Yeah. We need to do Chud.
Yeah. Well, and then
humanoid underground dwellers.
I think I told you. I know. I always remember that too. I never got to see the movie. I remember seeing the commercial, and I was like, I want to see that movie.
Right there. There's one that we have to. We have to fucking do that then.
And then with that. Oh, so there's guys I think I told you on Instagram that I found called Raiders of the Lost Commentary, and they'll do like they watch Predator and they talk about it, and they'll play like James Bond and they'll be like, look at here, and then they'll bring up kind of like, not that I was stealing from them, but I just thought it would be better to have like before Chopping Mall, I looked up the trivia, and I was like, this movie cost $200,000. Can you believe that? Because it looks shitty, and all the effects probably went into that head explosion. And so I looked up the trivia on The Golden Child, and I was like, that'd be good to throw in there every once in a while.
Like pop-up video.
Yeah, exactly. And but the thing that's good about Chopping Mall is that it's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Thing with Golden Child, they're going to have to pay to watch it.
Mm.
Like they either have to buy it from Amazon or rent it from Amazon for $2 or $3, or if you have a Showtime subscription, you can watch it on there, whenever. So it was like, that's why that other one worked. Same thing with Hooper. Like, where do you find Hooper?
Right.
I could not believe that I walked into Zia and I'm like, oh, I'm
it was right there.
Here's some cheap movies. And right there in the front was Hooper. And I'm like, holy shit.
This is serendipity.
And then I go a little bit more, and there's Highlander. And I go, oh, fucking, we were talking about that too for Ready Player One. And then I go, maybe I'll wait. And then I go through it, and then I found Golden Child. And I was like, no way. And then I go, I got to find Real Genius. So then I look for it, and I found it. And I was like, how much is this? $6. Yeah. Sold.
Nice.
Check, please. All right. I guess that's our show, yeah? Or you got more to talk about?
No.
Wow, you sound so enthused. All right, well, then look for Sean on Instagram under Dogs and Steel. I don't know what it means. Fighting off dogs. Sean fears dogs and stabs them with his stabby knife.
That's what I used to post on there, was pictures of my knives and the dogs, and pictures of my knives with the dogs, but that was when I was drinking. So it was only and I was drunk playing with knives and pit bulls.
I remember one time, I forget exactly what it was, but you used to do YouTube videos of, like, you were showing your controllers, and you were in the bathroom, and you were videotaping the thing, and I think it was either your mom or your breathing, but you could hear, like, hey, Sean, did you take out the trash yet? And you were like, so here's my controller, it's got carbon fiber style, and Sean, I need you to, Mom, it was like a little kid going, Mom, shut up.
I was 40.
And then finally, when I was like, Sean, I've been watching you, and you're like, yeah, I'm done. But like, on one of the videos that I'll try to share on our Instagram, Sergio and I used to do these promos for the show that we just recorded. So he would say, I would write down some talking points, and I would go through it in like 30 seconds, do like a little ad. So on one of them, he's videotaping me. He's on the other side of the phone, and all you hear is, like, and he's like overweight. He goes, all I can hear is my overweight breathing, and I'm like recording you. And he goes, so you're not even focused on the image? All you're like, is that guy gonna die or what? And so it was like, oh my gosh. So, and then on the last one that we did for Fight, Flight, or Stupid was the one you can just hear him like chuckling when I change hats, and I do that. Like, it's funny. But okay, that's our show. Tune in 2 weeks for either Golden Child or
Real Genius
or Charles in Charge.
Or Charles in Charge, yeah, Charles in Charge or Real Genius. Oh, and just for 1,156 days sober.
1,156.
Oh, and I, Joe, another sober friend of mine.
156.
Yeah.
You're like 1,000, bitch. No, I got that part.
His solution is, I guess they'll find out next week, but it could be gone.
Oh, wow.
The guy who owns the property that solution is on, and there's property all around it too. There's some deal that is apparently very lucrative, and he's going to be selling that whole land, and if it goes through, solution will be gone within 4 months.
Wow.
They'll be moving the people over
sober living place.
Into other facilities that they own.
Sounded like that. Sounded like Transformers were attacking us for a second.
But so they'll be moving the people in there, and the person, I assume they'll probably be selling it and putting up apartments because that's everything that's going in around in that area and stuff like that.
Wow.
But, like, Solution's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They have other sober living places and stuff, and I'm like, wow, that'd be like, there goes my meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, now where do I go? Yeah, now you got to meet new people or figure out where everybody went. Like, you got to talk to everybody and be like, where are you going? But, what was I going to say? I guess that's it. That's all I can think of. What am I trying to think of? Damn it. I was going to say something.
I was just going to ask you, because I got to go to my mom's tomorrow for Mother's Day. I was going to ask what you were doing for Mother's Day, and then I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't say that. But
we're doing because my mom died. That's funny. I'm just going to sit with her urn and do a podcast. Mom, what do you have to say? Yeah. No, my Danielle all the time would be like, your mom or whatever, and I'm like, my mom's in an urn, how dare you? But her and I have a demented sense of humor, so like whenever, like the other day, yesterday, I was mentioning my mom was dead, and then they were like, this woman's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and I go, it happened in 200006, like it's fine.
She's been dead for a long time. It's okay.
Like it's good. But yeah, we have.
She deserved it.
That's right.
She was a horrible person.
But no, she was good. How dare you? I know. Me and Danielle have the other day I took a picture of a cinder block because we were watching a Dateline episode where some guy got busted because he used old school, the old kind cinder block where you could see the rocks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a picture of a cinder block when I was walking around an apartment that was outside of a dumpster. I took a picture. I go, I have plans for us tonight. And then she was like, oh, wow, that's me.
What, he tied a cinder block to her body and dumped it in the river? He tied a cinder block
to this girl, and then they went to his house to look around, and they were like, that's weird. There's a flat spot where a cinder block was, and here's the matching cinder block.
And look, this rock from the cinder block exactly matches the dimple where this one was.
No, it was that. It was just.
Yeah,
it was the whole thing, but it was the old school. It was the old school darkness of it. I don't know. I can't explain it. But anyway, it's UPS delivering stuff. UPS lady's so afraid of our dogs.
Really?
She's like, get them, and she'll like back away from the door, and I'm like, it's fine, like they're not gonna hurt you, like because if Saki gets out, she's
at the office, the mail lady comes in, like the Chico's always there, and then the owner's daughter is there and has a French bulldog, and they'll come fucking running up. But this is like a Mexican lady where I'm just like, she'd be like, I'll fucking cook you. I say, I'm like, you're a fucking pot dog, yo. Like, you look fucking real meaty.
A female male lady, is that another word for transgender? I was just wondering. It's just a small joke. You said female male lady. She's a male. She delivers a male, but she's female male. Can also be male.
Got it.
Sorry. All right, that's the end of our show. Thank you. Tune in to go to Facebook at It's Kind of Funny Podcast or Instagram at It's Kind of a Funny Podcast. Send us an email about any weird shit at It's Kind of Funny Podcast at gmail.com and all that good stuff. So until 2 weeks from now, I'm Philip.
I'm Sean.
Yay. Dun 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 dun.
Bam.
Can you really deep throat balloons? Do pregnant strippers make us swoon? What makes Joe masturbate? Is Sergio really straight? No down. It's kind of a funny podcast. It ain't for the funny podcast. It's kind of a funny podcast. So turn it up, funny podcast. Into the garbage just